everyone.
Time to start.
It's time to start, and so
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to put your screen on speaker view, and I'm going to share my screen.
You need to ask everybody who's at technical support to mute everybody, Tara.
Okay, Bryn, you heard Pamela. I will unmute. Okay. And so, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Santa Cruz County and our online service through the technological magic known as Zoom. And this is a good time, like I said, to switch from gallery to speaker view. My name is Reverend Terra Collier-Young, and I am the affiliated community minister for this congregation. Joining me in presenting the service to you today is Sunday morning worship team chairperson Pamela Cote, along with our music director Gail Swain and accompanist Carol Thorson. Members, oops, hold on, going back. I don't know why it did that. Please don't do that. Members Dave Woody Wood and Bill Welsh will bring us their original music. And we have a special soprano singer and friend of the fellowship, Claire Paul, who will be singing a lovely hymn. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal faith tradition that aspires to a true and sustainable peace on earth. And we participate in this vision through our principles and our sources. This morning, I will invoke the third principle of acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. And the second source, words and deeds of prophetic people which challenge us to confront the powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. As for the guests among us, we're glad you're here. And if you have not already done so, you're invited to visit the website, UUFSCC.org, and sign our virtual visitor card. And if you would like, you can also sign up for our weekly e-news, The Current Happenings. Even though our campus is closed, our congregation is open wide. And The Current Happenings is where you find out about activities, Zoom links for weekly virtual connections, as well as messages from both our senior minister, Reverend Russ Mank, and our intern minister, Sanjay Hawk, who are taking this Sunday off, which is a wise thing for busy ministers to do. I would like to lift up one activity that will begin next week, and that is a discussion group for a book, How to Be Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. This is a part of our congregation's ongoing work to dismantle white supremacy culture and to promote racial justice. And it is especially poignant now as the second wave civil rights movement is in full swing. And regarding the meditation of shifting sands, I hope that you are able to obtain a little flat bottom bowl and cover it with sand, dirt, or flour. And during the service, and especially during the meditation, you're encouraged to just run your fingers through it. It's like doodling. And see the impact that your actions have. The empty space that you've created, and the way that the displaced materials interact with each other. Even the smallest dot of your fingertip can have an impact. These are trying times, to be sure. Honestly, just when I think things can't get crazier, they do. And that's why it is so important to carve out time for spiritual renewal, for introspection and contemplation, especially in community with others who are striving for resilience, for firm footing, as the sands shift all around our feet. And let us begin our time together participating in one of the most profound paradigm shifts of our time, acknowledging the land that we occupy and honoring the indigenous people who were here first. A land acknowledgement is a statement that recognizes the history and presence of indigenous people and their enduring relationship to their traditional homelands. Land erasure of indigenous people. Land acknowledgements help us create awareness of the cultural erasure of indigenous people and the processes of colonialization and subjugation that has historically compromised their autonomy. The land upon which the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Santa Cruz County is built is the unceded territory of the Awaswas people of the UP tribe. Today, the Uma Mutsun tribal band, comprised of descendants of the indigenous people, have taken a mission to work hard to restore traditional stewardship practices on these lands and heal from historical trauma. In this acknowledgement, we remember their connection to the region and give thanks for the opportunity to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. And if you are not in Santa Cruz County, I encourage you to research and learn about the indigenous people of where you live. Let us take a moment of silence to pay respect to the elders and all indigenous people, past and present.
Who are you? What have you become? What have you done to this beautiful kingdom? I don't want your guns, I don't want your poisons, I don't want your weapons and tools of mass distractions. I don't want your red flags, don't want your baggage, I don't want your hate speech, your supremacy. Where are your eyes? Where is your rough edge? Don't tell me you've traded it for comfort and privilege. I don't want your fast foods, I don't need to buy shit. I don't want your miles and miles of advertisement. I don't want it, no, no, no. So step up, speak out, show up, be loud. 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 Be loud. Peace of mind or a piece of the pie. 9 to 5 living in a plastic empire. Where is the house for the wounded and homeless? Can't sleep on the streets, can't afford to own this. Everything is I, me, mine. Busy working for the dollar while the well runs dry. Minimum wages, maximum security. Simple pleasure traded for business and authority. So step up, speak out, show up, be loud. 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 Be loud. Be loud.
invite Pamela Cote to unmute her mic and share with us the chalice lighting.
Every day brings struggle. Every day brings joy. Every day brings us the opportunity to ease the struggle of another, to be the joy in another's life. May this flame remind us to carry our light to each other and to the world.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who gather round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. Pamela would like to share with us joys and sorrows.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection. A spiritual community where our joys are amplified. A caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. May we remember those who have spoken, those they have named, and those we hold in silence in our hearts. Terra, are you going to invite people?
I will. So if you would like to write your sentiment in the chat box, we will do our best to read it out loud. And if you would like to unmute your mic, you can do so. In turn, it might get a little tumbly, but it's okay. We'll do our best. So we'd like to hear your voices. Ben Lemaster says, glad to be alive for another day on this planet. Bill Welsh wrote, my heart goes out to those who have lost their homes from the fire. Margaret Guy. I'm sorrowful about the elder abuse. Let's all find courage to lend support and speak out about this suffering.
You know,
Claire said, go ahead.
Gail Swain said, so pleased and relieved for all the choir members who have not lost their homes, most of whom have returned home. From joy to everyone, Xander and I are noticeably, oh dear, it just disappeared. From Sylvia Forsyth to everyone, my son John was laid off. Keep him in your thoughts, thatchings work out. Oh, keep it in your thoughts that things work out. Sorry, Sylvia.
I can read for joy. Xander and I are incredibly grateful to be home again from evacuation, and immense thanks to Terra and Scott for hosting us and helping to dramatically reduce the stress while we were away.
Louise Bettner says, sorry for elder abuse and loss from fires. We must support our communities. Mindy Shear says, thankful for the civil political discourse I sometimes see on social media. We need much more of this. From Reggie to everyone, I'm grateful to Tara Scott, William Welsh to everyone. I'm so grateful that the town Boulder Creek has survived. From Tara Martz Tillman, it was such a joy to make the wind socks with the kids in children's service today and talk about how life is like the wind. It ebbs and flows, harsh to gentle. We can't control the wind, but how we react to it. And if we tie our wind socks to a tree limb, it reminds us of how our church community keeps us strong in time of strong winds, life. From Dave to everyone, happy to be back home after a week at a hotel. From Lou Shasta, where the heck am I? From Sarah Marshall, grateful to this community for helping each other during the fires.
Let's pause for a moment and hold all of these joys and sorrows in our hearts. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
To see the world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. see the world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour.
This poem is by Poetry Slam artist Kay Harris, 2621. Things will never be the same, 6 feet apart and forever changed. Now we'll know more than just their names. Cherish our families instead of the fame. Discover something new. Take care of mental health too. Learn that it's not just the flu. No one knows when it will be through. A new normal is surely to occur, and workaholics come undone. Hold dear how free we were, actually able to enjoy the sun. Lives lost on the daily, hearts broken across the nation. More people drinking Bailey, prayers lifted for all creation. The world issued a wake-up call, learning to use this time wise. Hopefully, over by the fall, a paradigm shift to our lives. And Woody, how about if you unmute yourself and sing us your wonderful song?
Okay. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, the lichen breaks down the rock, and the tree root lifts up the curve. And if one by one we talk of peace, together our voice will be heard. In the paper I read that each year we spend 800 billion for war. But our presidents say that's not quite enough. Could you give us just 12% more? But the lichen breaks down the rock, and the tree root lifts up the curve. And if one by one we talk of peace, together our voice will be heard. Sometimes I get a bit down when I hear the media scream. They say billions for missiles is perfectly sane, while free health care for all's a pipe dream. But the lichen breaks down the rock, and the tree root lifts up the curve. And if one by one we talk of peace, together our voice will be heard. Last verse. Nature will win in the end. Gaia's one powerful witch. But will humans be a part of the landscape if we flip that nuclear switch? Yes, the lichen breaks down the rock, and the tree root lifts up the curve. And if one by one we talk of peace, together our voice will be heard.
I'm going to invite Pamela to unmute her mic.
Today's reading comes from the Earth Charter, The Great Turning. We stand at a critical moment in Earth's history, a time when humanity must choose its future. As the world becomes increasingly interdependent and fragile, the future at once holds great peril and great promise. To move forward, we must recognize that in the midst of a magnificent diversity of cultures and life forms, we are one human family and one Earth community with a common destiny. We must join together to bring forth a sustainable global society founded on respect for nature, universal human rights, economic justice, and a culture of peace. Towards this end, it is imperative that we, the peoples of the earth, declare our responsibility to one another, to the greater community of life, and to future generations. The Earth Charter 2000.
Thank you, Pamela. In January, I posted on Facebook and wrote greetings on email saying, Happy New Year! May 2020 bring us clear vision and informed hindsight. I thought it was quite clever, riffing on the idea of 2020 vision and the cliche that hindsight is 2020. It seemed to me that these qualities would support us culturally as we march into an election year with so much at stake. I had no idea what was in store for us. When the current happenings came out this past Thursday, one of our congregants sent me an email and wrote, Wow, shifting sands of paradigm. I like that. I have written about scientific paradigm and health vitality paradigm, and I'm looking forward to more perspectives. Well, here you go, Don Hornschmeyer. There are several definitions for paradigm, and for the context of this service, it is defined as an archetypal way of being, systems and patterns of behavior, acculturation that has developed over time by trial and error, that became expectations and assumptions lived day to day without much examination, like, that's just the way things are. It was in the mid-1990s I saw a bumper sticker that said, Subvert the dominant paradigm. And I have been intrigued by that statement ever since. How should we subvert a paradigm? Why would this be beneficial, reasonable, or a useful undertaking? And how does a culture even identify their unexamined paradigm to subvert it in the first place? What I'm holding up this morning is current events that are exposing a long-held problematic paradigm, and these sands are shifting on a cataclysmic scale, one grain at a time. The first thing to shift this year is obviously the COVID-19 virus, and we have only begun to see the impact that this disease will shake us up with. But the paradigm shift I really want to hold up today is the awareness around white supremacy culture, systemic racism, and the rise of the second wave civil rights movement. This second wave civil rights movement has been coming for a very long time. What happened in the decades between the first civil rights movement in the 1960s and this current iteration is what I identify as a Pax Romana, a Roman peace, a false or forced peace that requires a mix of authoritarian intimidation and a willing complacency. It creates a fear of taking action and speaking up. It is an acceptance of the status quo that does not want to rock the boat, yet knowing deep inside that the boat is riding on poisoned waters. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "They who passively accept evil are as much involved in it as they who help perpetuate it. And they who accept evil without protesting against it are really cooperating with it." Sadly, complacency is complicity. This dominant paradigm is constructed of capitalism, patriarchy, and white supremacy culture, and it depends on white people's complacent complicity to exist. This is a harsh truth, one that is uncomfortable and edgy, one that means, again, we must get out of our comfort zone, step up, speak out, show up, and be loud. The paradigm is shifting because it is being called out loud and clear with more media coverage than in the 60s due to cell phone technology and the Black Lives Matter movement. The powers that be and the people who are comfortable with the status quo are inclined to agitate against this truth and say, "I earned my privileges. I worked for every dollar. Life has been hard for me too." And honestly, no one is saying that a person hasn't worked hard, but it is saying that white supremacy culture favors light-skinned people, period. In the chat box and on one of the last slides, I will include resources. One in particular is an essay written by Peggy McIntosh called "Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack." And when I first read it, it blew my mind with when I was faced with all of my unearned and unquestioned privileges. And recently, one of our adult religious exploration program offerings was to watch a documentary called "The Long Shadow," followed by 2 Zoom discussion groups. And if you did not watch this excellent and informative documentary, I highly recommend it. I learned so much in that movie that fills in a lot of blanks regarding United States history. For instance, the Revolutionary War is not just about taxation and representation, but England had made slavery illegal, and the Southern plantation owners, as well as their Northern allies, could not let England limit the wealth being created by the blood and the bone of the enslaved. Unitarian Universalists have been abolitionists from the beginning, and it is a positive systemic part of our faith practice. Yet, we are still working on our own assumptions of privilege and uncovering our own participation in white supremacy culture. We strive to shake ourselves upside down and empty our pockets of racism. How do we turn this paradigm shift into a spiritual practice? As you doodle in the sand of your pie tin, take notice of what happens when you move your finger through the matter. Look at the shapes and the patterns, the influence of your action. What is the impact? Think small. Think big. Think practical and think metaphorical. This is a meditation. Granted, the powers that be want us to believe that we do not have power. Don't believe them. We have magnificent power. We are the co-creators of our culture. We are the meaning makers. We are the actuators. And always remember, what you do can have a tremendous impact, a rippling effect like a drop of water in a still pond. Our first principle is the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and that is a mighty sentiment. But how do we put it into action? Our second principle is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And that's very nice in theory. How can we put ourselves forward to really make a difference in practice? As UUA President Reverend Susan Frederick Gray said, this is no time for a casual faith. Stepping up, speaking out, showing up and being loud for racial justice could be one of the hardest things any of us will ever do, because we live in a country that was built on racial injustice. Yet, the lichen does break down the rock, and we are the tree roots that lift up the curb. As we traverse the shifting sands of paradigm, our footing may be unstable. We'll look down and not even be sure if we're stepping on solid ground. We may stumble and need to reach for support, a hand to hold, and a chair to sit on. And still, we will persist and we will prevail. Have no doubt, this is when our faith becomes action. Social justice is a spiritual practice. This is the work of the decade. To fill in the open spaces of the paradigm shift with justice, equality, and compassion. It is the most important thing we can do with our privilege. The old paradigm tells us things are just fine the way they are, and that is being blown away, and a new one is forming. So let us bring our unique talents and our collective wisdom to the fore, and with every action, hold a goal of a true and sustainable peace on earth in our hearts as the guiding light. So mote it be. Amen. And blessed be. Oh. Bill, would you like to unmute your mic and share your song with us? I invite Chuck Torrey to unmute his mic and introduce the offertory.
Well, though we may miss our time together in person and the ritual passing of the baskets, we still need to provide for the expenses of running our fellowship, as well as offering our generosity and gratitude out into the community. This week, we're resuming donating half of our offering each month to an outside organization that shares our values. Today and through September, we'll be donating to the Community Action Board of Santa Cruz County. Its mission is to partner with the community to eliminate poverty and create social change, both advocacy and essential services. We'll donate in particular to their COVID-19 and fire emergency response fund. With this fund, they're able to provide timely emergency relief to those experiencing financial hardship for both our ongoing pandemic and the fire crisis. The need is obvious. They are well connected and able to provide direct assistance to those most in need. No matter how much money you give, active giving is a symbolic reminder that giving is just as important as receiving. Sharing what we have is how we live out our value of generosity. I invite you to visit our website to make your donation, or put your donation in an envelope next to your computer and mail it to the church office. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Chuck. It's time for us to all lift our voices in joyful noise, and Gail is going to lead us in singing Never Turning Back.
We're gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on co-creating. Keep on co-creating. Keep on co-creating. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna work for peace and justice. Yes. Work for peace and justice. Work for peace and justice. And we're never turning back. We're never turning back. Everybody, we're gonna keep on moving forward. We're gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back.
Let's take virtual hands and hearts as we sing our blessing. De todos bajo el gran sol, surja esperanza, fe y amor, verdad, belleza en la canción de cada tierra, cada voz. From all that dwells below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land, by every tongue. My closing words to you are, know your power. Don't let anybody ever tell you that what you do does not matter. Now is the time and we are the people we have been waiting for. Justice is afoot, and the moral arc of the universe is long, but it leans towards justice, and every one of us are motivators and movers for it to go in that direction. As you see on this screen, here are some resources, and what I'll do, oops, I'm going to copy and paste this into the, I think I will. I'll try to copy and paste it into the chat. But I saw that Edie found the Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack and put that link in there. I want to include The Long Shadow, and one of my favorite inspiring publications is called Yes Magazine. I highly recommend it. I'm going to invite Pamela now to invite us into hospitality. Blessings to you all.
Deeper connection, reflection, and sharing. You are invited to stay on after the service. Our tech support person will send a link to join in a breakout group. And to all of you, thank you for attending. Blessings on your day.